Okay, friendly reminder, you do have a reading test tomorrow, so classes are shorter. They're only 32 minutes. Thank you, Ellie, for telling me that. I wasn't going to do the math because I would have gotten it wrong anyway. So, you need to be taking out your notebook, ladies and gentlemen. We are starting a lecture. Okay, fun fact. So I had a terrible day yesterday. You already know about 7th period cheating. On top of, I had a 16-hour day here at Plant High School. My room was hot, and I was stuck in this room till 7:30 at night. I got home last night. I sat on my couch, and I opened up my cell phone, and I just wanted to scroll into oblivion and pretend I didn't have the day I did. And I look in my AP World group chat with Facebook group. I know. Peak existence. It's fine. You can make fun of me. I can handle it. Last night, College Board announced they are changing your essay structures. We are going to be fine because I always make sure we cover our bases. So there are some tweaks. Last night they announced that they are changing the structures of the DBQ and the LEQ. I'm not exactly sure what that means, girl. There's 2 rubrics. It's not officially being declared until tomorrow, which makes no sense why they kind of acknowledged it but didn't acknowledge it, and then it's coming out officially tomorrow. So on top of my really bad day, it got really bad on top of it. So things are going to kind of change for the essays, so everything is a little bit different kind of going forward. The good news is, ladies and gentlemen, are you going to be perfectly fine? Yes. Yes, of course, because I'm on it, and I will make the accommodations, and we will be fine. Okay? The bad news is it's just annoying. And I just want you to know that College Board hates you. That they just personally don't like you. And I say that with love because Ren's class hasn't changed in 8 years. 8 years. It's been the exact same. AP Psychology has been the exact same course for 30 years. AP World changes every 2.5 years. Why? Because they hate us. Why? I don't really know why, but they hate us. So we will be perfectly fine. The SAQs are exactly the same. So we are absolutely ready to go for Friday, which is writing week. Today is Tuesday. So you have Wednesday, and then you have a test on Thursday, and then on Friday we start writing week, and we are writing SAQs, or short answer questions, and those formats are the exact same. So don't you worry, your girl is ready to go. I just want to prepare you. Writing week, there is no planning ahead. You have to do homework every single night, and you have to come to class prepared. The good thing is, for UA's period, you have all day to finish it if you didn't finish it the night before. Now, I would not plan that to be the case. I see you will. I see you. I have high expectations that you will be scrambling in 7th period, finishing this. What I am telling you, though, ladies and gentlemen, you need to make sure you can modify your schedule because every single night you will be working. I also want to warn you. The more you help me in class, answer questions, participate, and the faster I move planning your essays, the easier your essays are at home. Is everyone clear on that? Yes. So the more you interact with me and answer my questions, the more I'm going to write down, and then the more you can just pull things together. The benefit to you is to talk to me, and I will carry a lot of the weight. You just have to help me. Is everyone clear? We can practice this skill today. So help me teach my content quick, and that'll get us in good position for what will be coming for writing week. Is everyone clear on that? So writing week is coming. You cannot do all of your work on a Sunday because every night you will be assigned a specific essay or essays. It's plural. Did you hear the plural? Okay, good. Yeah. Now, keep in mind, this isn't Samantha Bennett's fault. Can we just agree to this? This is your fault. You signed up for this class. You did this to yourself. I have been the same. Consistent, wonderful, charming also. So you signed up for this class. It is not my fault. And 77% of your exam is writing. We do understand that. 35% of your exam is the SAQ. You have 40 minutes to write 3 short answer questions. And I will tell you that'll be the fastest part of that exam. Keep in mind, you also have 55 question, multiple choice question, stimulus test in 55 minutes. So you will do that in 55 minutes, 55 questions in 55 minutes. You'll have a little bit of a break, and then you go into 3 SAQ questions in 40 minutes, which will be the fastest thing you've ever seen.
Wait, how long is this exam?
Oh, it's 4 hours. It's 4 hours. No one's ever asked me that this early in the year, so good for you. Star on your nose. Unfortunately, you now know your exam's 4 hours.
AP art test.
Oh, that sucks. But at least you'll be able to celebrate in style. All right, here we go. What do you got, Caleb? No, there is no focus, there is no vocab, there is no test during writing weeks. So that's wonderful. But you'll also be writing essays. Okay, on the top of your notes, right? Week 5. Right, Trans-Saharan Trade Network. I think by now you are tired of talking about the Trans-Saharan trade routes. Can we agree? We've talked about them a lot. I've really been circling this content and kind of building understanding. This is the last week of it, ladies and gentlemen, because next week we go into Writing Week. The content of Writing Week is everything I've taught you over the past 5 weeks. That's what we're reinforcing during a Writing Week, and then we start Unit 3. And once we hit Unit 3, every week is totally uniquely isolated. And as we kind of go, it's going to go super fast. We've been going very slowly, if you can possibly believe it. Like painfully slow. Like horribly slow. It is about to kick up in speed and much, much faster starting in week 7. So just be aware. When you look back on your time here in AP World, you'll be like, oh my God, that was so cute that we did that for 5 weeks. It was so cute because it will not be like that starting in week 7. And frankly, I'm excited about it. Here we go. Trans-Saharan trade. I do need to make something clear. You need to write the word missionaries. Missionaries are people who are actively seeking converts. When I say missionaries, what religion do you immediately think of, Aubrey, sorry. When I say missionaries, what religion do you think of? Christians, absolutely. Christians are missionaries, but what other religion has missionaries too? Islam, yes, Muslims are actively seeking converts as well. You need to write down, because I know you don't think of it. Every time you see a missionary, you need to know that it could be Islamic or Christians. Now in 2023, we have a bias towards Christians, because honestly, Christians are the ones who are going out and seeking more converts. They're actively seeking converts, aka they forced it on a bunch of people. Not right now, we don't do that now. Yeah, I'm going to say that pretty confidently. Christians aren't doing that now. But historically, they, of course, have. Islam doesn't really actively seek too many people because so many people are just picking it up. Yeah, people really enjoy it. Once you get to know more about Islam, people just really embrace it and really enjoy it. And people are converting because they like it. All right, missionaries. You need to know it's from 2 of the major religions, Christianity and Islam. So anytime you see that word, do not be biased and think it's only Christians. It's not. It's Christians and Muslims. Okay. You need to know that Islam is the most popular religion on any trade route. Islam is the most popular religion on any trade route. Okay, so in Africa, women are gaining more freedom. Who can tell me why? Why are women gaining more freedom, Rex?
Because the men are being sold to slaves.
No. Okay, you're not terribly wrong, but it's not, no. I'm still going to say no. Why are women getting more freedom? Because you're not having that huge discrepancy in gender until we get to the 1600s when the slave trade is really actively going into the Americas with chattel slavery. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
At this point, slaves are occurring, but it's not at huge numbers.
Okay.
It's not until we get to chattel slavery, aka American slavery, that we start seeing like a huge amount of numbers of black men and some black women. Black women are pulled too, but not at the rate of men, are getting pulled out of the continent. Why are women getting more power? Madison? Yes, and why would Islam make this happen, Madison? Yes, women are gaining more freedom in Africa than anywhere else in the world because more of Africa is converting to Islam and women have more freedom under Islam. And that is a huge thing you have to understand. So, the best continent to be a woman, Flatten, is what continent? Africa. They have the most freedoms just culturally, foundationally. The best religion in the world to be a part of if you're a woman is? So, the freest people in the world during the 12 and 1300s are? Islamic black women in Africa. Those are going to be the freest women in the world. Okay? So, you need to understand that. You also need to know that the trade boom is going to lead to the rise of empires. Okay? Why haven't empires grown before this? What is the big fundamental problem in Africa? Why is Africa behind? What are they deficient of? I taught you this in week 2, people. What are they deficient of? Nina?
They don't have a lot of agriculture.
Yes. And when you say agrable land, Nina, what does it mean?
They can't farm a lot of crops.
Yes, they can't really farm. They are growing things, okay? They are growing things, but do they have large, expansive farms or very small ones? Small ones that they don't have huge populations to support because they can't feed them all. So they have non-agrable land, which means the land can't be farmed, which means they have very little food sources. If you have little food sources, you have a big population or a small population. If you have a small population, do you have an empire or a tribe? You have a tribe, absolutely, because they have to be able to defend their land. There's not that many of them, so they can't really rise and take over other tribes too many of the times. They have rivalries, but they're not really conquering. That is why Africa does not have any empires until trade. Why does trade facilitate into empires rising in Africa? Ellie?
Because they're getting more resources to like.
Don't speak in that language. Speak in specifics. You know the answer. Resources is very vague. Are you telling me that they're getting gold in exchange? No, because they already have gold. When you just use a blank word like resources, give me specifics. You are smart. Give me a specific. They're getting food. Do you see how that's a better answer? They're the only place in the world that's trading for food. Why are they trading for food? Pull it through. Why are they trading for food, Brinley? Why are Africans trading gold for food? Yes. They don't have agrable land, okay? So because of that, they have gold in the ground. Can you eat gold? No, you can't do anything with it. It really doesn't have too high of a value for the Africans because what do they need more than anything? Food. So what they do is they sell that gold to other places in order to get food. So they're getting like champa rice. We love champa rice, correct? Especially on Friday when you can start using that for evidence for things. I'll just be so excited. Okay? So when we're talking about the Africans, you need to fundamentally understand that the Africans are using trade to gather more food. Now that the Africans are getting food via trade, what starts to increase? Population. And when populations start increasing, what happens to the government? They become more sophisticated, which will create empires. And what is the name of the first empire in Africa? You know this. We've been talking about it for what feels like months. Ryan. Ghana is the first. They're the first kingdom. What is the name of the first empire? Malai, whatever. Ren is very persnickety about it. Okay. Malai is your first major empire. And why is Malai the first empire? Pull it through for me. Ruby, why is Malai the first empire? No, okay, why is Malai the first empire? What are they doing more than any other empire in Africa? They're trading, yes, which is bringing in money and food, which is allowing them to build an empire. Okay. You need to understand that Malai is the first empire because they're trading for food and that allows the population to rise, which allows the government to rise, which is why we have our first empire. Who is the major dude who is going to attract the traders into Malai? This is like week 3 content. Who is the dude? He has an amazing name. Oh my God, you have to retain your content. Abby. Sundita. Sundita converts to Islam. Malai. Why does he convert to Islam? Well, maybe because no, we don't speak in vague, speak in specifics. Why does he convert to Islam? Well, we can't say just trading. Why does he do it? What's the goal of it? Yeah, you're not right, but you're not wrong. Madison?
Because most of the traders are Islamic, so it's also Muslim then.
He's trying to attract trade, people. Write it down. You should know this. This is week 3 content. He's trying to attract traders. That's why he converts to Islam. His grandson is who? This is also week 3 content. Who is it, Ruby? Mansa Musa. By the way, they're making a movie out of Mansa Musa's life, and it was supposed to be by Chadwick Boswin. It was supposed to be Mansa Musa himself. Obviously, he's dead. Spoiler alert, I don't know if you know that, but Black Panther is dead. So the whole production has been put on into pause. But yeah, they were trying to make a movie about Mansa Musa because he is like the first like major black African leader, and he is such a positive force for African culture and identity before it gets like robbed of Africa. Chadwick Boseman said he was like the original Black Panther. Like he is the biggest provider for Africa in all of the most beautiful ways. Like it's such a wonderful way to think about Mansa Musa. Anyway, Mansa Musa, he is gonna be famous for going on a Hajj and all that stuff, and he makes Timbuktu. Write it down. Timbuktu, which is spelled like this. Timbuktu, the economic center of Malai. Someone said they thought it was a fake place. There's a 1950s terrible song that has Timbuktu in it. I don't know what it's called. But it's the economic center of Malai. It is also going to be, next to Timbuktu, you need to know it becomes a scholarly center. A scholarly center is what Timbuktu becomes. What do you got?
Wait, did Mansa Musa like create Timbuktu?
He didn't create it. It was already there, but he helped rise it into what becomes. Like, for instance, New York City has always been New York, right? Like, there's always been a city called New York. It's based on York, England, and they put it there as a Dutch city, and when the British took over, they called it New York. It wasn't that big of a deal until George Washington moved the capital of the United States to New York. Because Washington, D.C. didn't exist yet, ladies and gentlemen. The first president to live in D.C. is going to be John Adams. Okay, no, Thomas Jefferson is the first president to live in the White House. Okay, so in New York, it becomes the center. During colonial times, it starts rising in power. Timbuktu was a big city, and then under Mansa Musa, it explodes into the cultural heartbeat that it is for this time. What do I mean by a scholarly center? What would be an example of a modern day 2023 scholarly center in the world? Joseph?
University.
Well, any university? You calling USF a scholarly center?
Something like Oxford.
Oxford, Harvard, Stanford. And what makes those universities better than USF? And I'm not shitting on USF. I mean, I'm kind of shitting on USF. I got my master's from USF, so keep that in mind. Why are those universities better, Joseph?
They're older than
Oh my god. I mean, yes, that's part of the reason, but what makes them special, Will? But why are they harder to get into? Please help me, TK.
I was gonna say the level of education.
Yeah, the level of education is absolutely bar none. Rex and Will, I'm totally over it. Completely and utterly over it. The fact that you have a comment for each other at every opportunity. This is your last warning. I understand that you are actually friends, and that does make me happy for you to find joy. However, I'm over it. Okay, the reason why those universities are so elite to our little USF or University of Tampa here is because they attract the smartest people in the world. Can we agree? The best and the brightest in the fields are teaching at Harvard, Stanford, Oxford, Cambridge, okay? By getting those teaching positions, you are considered an elite in your field, right? At Stanford, Einstein taught physics. Yeah, could you imagine that? Okay, I think that would be pretty impressive. He also taught at Princeton for a while, too. All right, with that being said, a scholarly center for Islam is happening in Timbuktu. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Rex?
It's attracted a bunch of smart people.
Yes, but what does that tell you about Timbuktu? Is it respected or not respected?
It's stable.
It's very respected, so it's been brought into the fold of Islam. It's not seen as a separate entity. It's not saying, oh, it's Africa. It is seen as brought into the fold. It is seen as a place and source of power and something of great significance. So it is well respected. In AP Art History, you're going to study the Mosque of Dejin. It is built in the Arab style. Why is it built in the Arab style? It's in Timbuktu. You can go see it today. It's still there. I'm going to show you 1,000 photos of it. Why is it built in the Arab style? Caleb.
It's more, it's when people went to that place and they built it.
Okay, yeah, you're not wrong. I'll accept that. That's the right answer. Why? Okay, that's kind of what Caleb is going for. Guys, Africa. This is the first empire in Africa. Does it have its own unique style yet? No. Okay, when Greece and Rome started, did they have their own unique style? No, they stole from other civilizations and then After 1,000 years of being in existence, then they came up with their own styles, but they stole from other people that they were influenced by. This is the first African empire, so they're stealing from people who they respect, and who do they respect more than anyone else? The Arabs, the Muslims. So they built it in the Arab style. You need to know that. Inside Timbuktu, most of your infrastructure is going to be built in the Arab style. Okay? Okay. You do need to know the newest piece of technology in the silk and the trans-Saharan trade is going to be the Somali saddle. What is the Somali saddle so famous for? DK?
Being able to carry heavy loads.
Yes. Okay. So we've kind of talked about the Somali saddle for sure, and you are 1,000%. Why is that important though, DK? What is the impact of having 500-600 pounds worth of stuff being carried?
Instead of carrying like 50 pounds, you can
No.
carry more.
What is the impact of it, DK?
It increases.
Don't tell me the difference between 50 pounds and 500 pounds. I conceptually know that. But what is the impact of it, DK?
It increases more trade.
It increases trade. Yes. By being able to carry more stuff. The city that they're buying all these goods for benefit because they're buying more of it. The city that they're walking to is going to benefit because more things are being sold or brought into that city. So by having these saddles, it increases trade because more things are moving, and that's a huge deal. You have to understand that component. All right, here we go. APM WK. This is the first time you've seen him in your notes. Of course, we've talked about a bunch about him. All right, who is? You need to write APM WK. You need to know that he is a Muslim. He's a traveler. He spends time in the IOB, which stands for?
Indian Ocean.
Yeah, because eventually I'm going to stop saying Indian Ocean Basin and just completely transition to IOB. He explores the IOB, Africa, Middle East, and Europe. He noticeably does not go where? Where is one place in the world that we talk about all the damn time that he does not go? Ryan? He doesn't go to China. You need to know he does not go to China. No one's going to America yet because we don't have Columbus, right? We're about we're about 200 years away from Columbus. He's not even a glimmer in his mommy's eye at the moment, okay? Or his great grandmother's eye at this point. All right, so you need to know that he goes pretty much everywhere except China. Okay, you need to know that he speaks to average citizens. He is reliable for historians. Why is he reliable for historians? We talked about it in our Do Now. Andre, why is he reliable for historians?
Because he doesn't talk to like the rich and the average people have nothing behind.
There you go. You also need to know that he really only cares about two things. He cares about gender roles. He finds that fascinating, as you saw. I mean, he loves beautiful women. Can we tell that by just one piece? He's a big fan of beautiful. Look at him though. He's pretty cute. He's pretty cute. He's not my historical #1 crush, but he's pretty cute. I do have historical crushes. Okay. I will tell them to you as we come across them. He's not my #1, but he might be #5. I think he's pretty cute. Marco Polo? Hell no. Hell no, Marco Polo. Hell no. Moving forward into more academic topics. All right. You need to know that he is all about gender roles. Okay, which is really fascinating. Do most historians write about gender roles? No. What is the one person who really collects a lot of information about gender roles? APM WK. He is going to be the historical record on most of it in most places. Because keep in mind, how often do you write about your daily life, like your actual day-to-day routines? You write about, if you're going to write in your journal, if you have a journal or whatever, you really only remember the unique things that pop up, like the surprise things or the unique experiences. You're not going to write about your daily experience because to you it's mundane. I do this every day. Why would I write down that I wake up every morning at 4:45? Why would I write that I eat the same thing for breakfast every single day? Okay? And all that stuff. You don't, because it's he is an outsider and he is writing about these things, and that's why we have them. You need to know the second thing that he cares about is economic exchanges. Why does he care about economic exchanges? Why is he writing about how different trade cities are set up and stuff like that? Why is he writing about that? Yeah, because he's a trader. Yeah, that's what he knows. That's what he cares about. Okay? If you're a car salesman, what do you care a lot about? Cars. And what do you write and make notes of? When you walk driving around, you notice cars driving by. I don't give a shit about cars. I really don't. I could not care less. As long as it's comfortable to drive it. Actually, my Mini Cooper is my dream car, so I don't have any more dreams. I literally don't. My husband bought it for me for my 30th birthday. It's my dream car. All I wanted was a Mini Cooper. So my next car, who cares? I've already had the dream. And I love it so much. With that being said, he is talking about the different setups of trade all around the world because that's what he cares about. Is that interesting to us historians? Yes. Are other people writing about it? No, because to them it's mundane. Second person, you need to know that he's liked. He is genuinely universally liked by all people who meet him because the people he's meeting find him interesting because he's an outsider. Does that make sense? He's also not unique. Why is he not unique in these settings? Muslims are everywhere, right? Muslims are pretty much everywhere in the world at this point. So he's not incredibly unique. So no one's really gawking at him, but everyone really likes him because he genuinely cares about people and he's interested in people. So people like him. Your next person is Marco Polo. Marco Polo is from Italy. Okay? Huh?
Honestly, Venice, but
Venice is in Italy. For us, we don't really care that he's Venetian. They used to all be kingdoms. Venice used to be its own kingdom. Naples used to be its own kingdom. Florence used to be its own kingdom. They get unified by Count Camillo Cavari in 1911, and that's why we unify them all under the title of Italy. They used to care. Now we don't care. Fun fact is that Italy wants to go back to its kingdoms, which is funny. Well, no, that's because it has the Vatican inside, and the Vatican wants to control itself. Huh? San Marino. Oh, well, that's like a teeny tiny little thing, but yeah, that's because it refused to unify. All right, you need to know that Marco Polo is going to be the first white person to make it to China. He's literally the first. So when all the people in China see him, what do they do? Wow, wow, and everyone's fascinated by him. Rich people, poor people, everyone is fascinated by him. They are so fascinated by him, he gets to meet who? Kublai Khan. You need to note that. Kublai Khan originally wants to meet him because he's never seen a white person himself. So when he hears that a white guy is just wandering around, he's like, oh, I want to meet this guy. So Marco Polo gets called to court, and he gets to meet Kublai Khan because Kublai Khan just wants to see what a white person looks like. So he gets in front of Kublai Khan, and by this point, Marco Polo has picked up some Chinese, so they can actually interact with each other. And with that interaction, they become friends. And he pals around for 2.5 years, being Kublai Khan's sidekick, drinking, partying, doing all the things, complete debauchery for 2.5 years. Oopsies, Marco Polo gets a little too close to Kublai Khan's wife. Oopsies. And Kublai Khan throws him in jail. And he sits in jail. While he's sitting in jail, he starts writing things down. So, is he writing every single day what he's experiencing? It's all written after the fact while he's sitting in jail. Which, is that biased or unbiased? It's biased. Now, he's also partying really hard. Really hard. Because everyone is fascinated by him. Is everyone fascinated by Marco Polo back in Italy? No, because he looks like everyone else. No one really gives a shit about him, right? Because he's just another Italian in Italy. So when he goes to China, he's a big deal because he's the first white guy. So he is celebrated. He loves it. Loves the attention. Gets thrown in jail. Then he starts writing. So is his thoughts written in time, actual time? No. Are they slightly biased because he's sitting in a jail cell while he's writing it? Of course. And is he interacting with everyday people, or is he only acting with Mongols? Mongols, because the Mongols are the ruling class. Remember, the Mongols hate the Chinese. The Chinese are kicked out of government. So he doesn't really get to really meet any Chinese people, even though he's standing in, which is, obviously kind of funny when you think about it in that context. He is not historically reliable. Now, does he tell funny stories? Yes, he does. And it's about a 10-hour audiobook. It's very entertaining. The stories are debauchery. And he does give us some insight, but we have to take it with a grain of salt that this is not reliable. So that's why historians kind of just giggle at Marco Polo, because he's kind of a clown. All right. So we need to know some cultural components. Okay, so on your next subheading is cultural. Okay, when we are talking about culture, when we have all these people interacting from different places, there are pros and cons to everything. Can we agree? If I gave you $10 million right now, I wrote you a check for $10 million, okay? Would everything in your life greatly improve?
Yes.
Would there be any downside?
Yes.
There's always downsides, ladies and gentlemen. There's this Harvard study, which I think is so fascinating. When you fall in love, and the average person falls in love 3 times in their lives. I don't know if that gives you some hope here, people. Okay? And if you have already experienced a broken heart, I'm so sorry. Things will get better for you. In your life, every time you fall in love, you lose 2 of your closest friends. And I will tell you, in my experience, that is absolutely factually accurate, and it's done by a Harvard study. Which means, when you find someone to love, you lose some of your closest friends. Pros, cons, yes? Same thing when we talk about world interactions. There are pros, and there are cons, because everything in life is a balance. You can't have all good and none bad. Here we go. One of the biggest things, we're not going to make a pro-con list because that's annoying. You need to understand that Africa is now getting gunpowder. And what are they using gunpowder for? To kill each other. Yes, of course. It's rivalries. They're fighting with each other, all that stuff. Are they killing each other in China with gunpowder at this point? Yes. Are they killing each other in the Middle East with gunpowder? Of course. Gunpowder is being used as a weapon at this point. But they're not producing it. What is the problem with not producing their own gunpowder? They have to buy it. What's the problem with that, Emma?
Money.
Sort of. What is the real problem if you're not manufacturing the thing you need?
It's not reliable. You don't always have it.
You don't always have it, which means people can stop you from access to it. This is exactly what's going to happen. Because the Africans are going to become dependent on getting gunpowder from other places, and they can't really make their own gunpowder because they don't have those types of natural resources. They become dependent on other people's gunpowder. So when colonialism and imperialism start happening, can the Africans defend their land? They can't defend their land because they don't actually produce their own gunpowder. Okay? It's the same thing the United States is trying to avoid today. Here in 2023, I don't know if you know, yesterday the Prime Minister of the UK announced officially behind the emblem of the UK, said that China is the biggest threat to the UK. That's a big deal. Because who is our #1 ally? And if the UK says China is the biggest threat to them, who's our biggest threat? China is the biggest threat. The biggest threat, the reason why China is one of the biggest threats is because China wants Taiwan. They want it. We know they want it. We know for a fact they're trying and planning to take over Taiwan. They just can't do it yet because they don't have the manpower and they don't have the naval power to do it. Why do they want Taiwan? No, it doesn't have any resource. It has one thing. Joseph. They have electronics. So every single thing, pretty much in all of our things, my computer, your cell phone, all of microchips. All the world's microchips get made where? Taiwan. They used to get made in the United States. Silicon Valley, it was famous because of its microchips. In the 1980s, we realized, oh, it's cheaper if we give it to Taiwan. So we went to Taiwan and said, hey, you can make this for us cheaper. Here we are in 2020 when the world shuts down and we realize we can't get those microchips. What did we say? Shit. We said shit, okay? Because we're completely dependent on Taiwan. So if China takes Taiwan, what happens to our microchips? They're gone. Now keep in mind, it's not just our cell phones. All of our military devices are all on. And where are all those microchips made? Taiwan. So if we lose Taiwan, we are completely and utterly screwed, which means the United States will go to war over it. It's a huge deal because we are no longer producing the one thing we control and need in order to protect ourselves. It's the same thing that's going to happen to Africa. They get too comfortable buying gunpowder, so when they need it to protect themselves from those invaders that are going to be coming during imperialism, they can't protect themselves. Why? They didn't protect it. So America will go to war with China over Taiwan. That is why World War III is going to be declared at some point. China is going to invade. We know they want to. They're building a military. They're building everything. Every sign says they're going to do it. When they declare war on Taiwan, we're going to declare war because we have to protect Taiwan because we need those microchips. Since 2020, Biden has spent, I think, $3 billion trying to build the infrastructure to make microchips, but it takes 10 years to build that infrastructure. So are we close to getting it? Will we be at the same level as Taiwan is today? which Taiwan will be at in 10 years? No. So it's a huge threat. It's an existential crisis. This is an existential crisis for Africa. When you think about imperialism, which is coming very quick, and you think Africa falls to all these colonial powers, it's not because they wanted to be colonized. It's because they didn't have the defense, because they didn't have the gunpowder to protect themselves. Second thing you need to know, Champa rice is going to come to Africa, and it's going to lead to a population boom. Why is that a positive thing and a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing? Why is having a population boom in Africa kind of a bad thing? Will. Overpopulation. Remember, their own grounds can't afford this population. So if trade gets disrupted, guess what happens to the population? It's going to crash because they can't keep their own people fed because of the poor agricultural land. You need to know that Swahili is going to be the common language used in Africa. Why does Africa need a common language? What's the biggest problem with Africa, which will also lead to a big problem during imperialization, why they can't defend themselves? What is the biggest problem with Africa's culture? They have beautiful cultures. It's not that. What is it, Nina?
There's a bunch of like clan-based tribes.
Africa is the most diverse place in the world. There's over 800 different languages in Africa today. Okay, it's the most diverse place in the world. Can they all communicate with each other? So during imperialization, can they all unify under equality with each other? No. Still today, there's still lots of bad blood between different parts of Africa because of these cultural divides. Okay, and that's going to lead to big problems later. Second thing that you need to know, that Swahili is made up of Arabic and Bantu. Bantu is the cultural foundation of African culture. It's the original tribes in Africa. We don't study them because they're ancient. It's the cultural foundation of Africa. What is the cultural foundation of the Chinese? Song dynasty. The Bantu are the cultural foundation of Africa. Okay? And why is Arabic and Bantu mixed together to make Swahili? Why is it Arabic?
Arabic is a
Why, Ryan?
Because they're trading with the Muslims.
Guys, Africa doesn't really come alive and is thriving in its own economic way until the Arabs show up and really start this triangular trade or in the Indian Ocean Basin, yes? So it's kind of an appreciation of what the Arabs are doing and a celebration of their own culture. Bye! I'm really glad you're back. Did I tell you that?
Yeah, you are. Thank you.
Please don't go away again.
I didn't have a choice.
Let's keep ourselves out of trouble here, boss. I know you did. I really, it shocks me. It really does shock me, but I like it when you're here. You let me know what you need to get you caught up. Bye, sweetie, bye, Brendan. I'm very low key on makeup work, so we can, do what you need to do, but I need you working towards it. I'm here to help and support, but I need you chipping away. Is that fair? Are you a sophomore? Okay, so you're taking your reading test tomorrow. Bye, sweetie. Have a good day. What's up, Rex? What's up?
Does it seem like in a good mood today?
Quite unlike yesterday.